control.
Okay, I think we're good to go now. We can just start with some introductions, and if you don't mind, to go ahead and share your pronouns when you introduce yourself so that I can make sure and refer to everyone correctly. I'm Autumn, and I go by she, her. I'm probably the only unpublished person in all of the panels, but I've been a book professional for a couple decades. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Writing and Literature and a Master's of Library Science, and I've worked in libraries and did the selection process and everything. And since 2020, I've been focusing on writing. I have one completed and shelved science fiction, and I'm working on my first cozy fantasy. So we'll just go in picture order for introductions. So take it away.
Is that me?
Are we all seeing the same screen?
I think so.
I see Lila.
Okay. All right. Well, I will go. I am Lila Appleton. That is a pen name. Alicia Klapik is my real name. I write under both. Under Lila Appleton, I write spicy, cozy fantasy. This was the first book that I came out with for that. I like to write short, sweet, spicy, lot of entrepreneurs. I don't know why that comes up so much in cozy fantasy. I guess because it's kind of like a medieval small town a lot of times. But I am an entrepreneur in a lot of different areas of my life. So I really enjoy writing the independent female who gets to have a nice, cozy time in this crazy world right now. It's nice to just escape into it. But thank you for having me.
All right. I'm Hailey Blackwood. I'm she, her. I just published for the first time last May. I write cozy fantasy romance with a little bit of spice. So I'm not super spicy. I would give myself like 2 spicy peppers, but all of my men are non-human because I love my little monstrous men. But yeah, I've been writing in a cozy little small whimsical town for the past year and a half. This series is going to be ending at the end of the year, but I do plan to come back to it, and I'm going to move on to something else next year. It's lots of fun. I love being here.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Marie Cardno. I write cozy monster romance under this name, my name, Marie Cardno. I also write cozy shifter romance under the pen name Zoe Chant. So my Zoe books, The Hideaway Cove and A Mate for Christmas series, are like sweet, cozy, small town romance between mostly humans and shifter men. They're fated mates, they're fun, cute. The first book in each of those series is on sale for 99 cents at the moment as part of the Cozy the Day Away sale. And as under the name that I'm appearing here as, I write the monster romance series Monster Girlfriend, which is a complete trilogy available in ebook, paperback, and the special edition. Okay, I see that Jolly has given us some pepper tears down the bottom. I will say my Monster Girlfriend trilogy, which is sapphic, is like too closed door with strong suggestiveness. My Zoe books, The Hideaway Cove and A Mate for Christmas, are closer to a 4. Thank you for that, Jolly. Catrina.
Hi, I'm Catrina Bell from Austin, Texas, and I write cozy monster romance pretty much exclusively. My 2 books out are both holiday adjacent wintry books with demon heroes. So they're set in a contemporary small town where just, demons, orcs, everyone lives together. But the town's name is Winter Bliss, and it's just a very idyllic small town and focuses on a lot of the cozy staples, coffee shops and librarians and all the cute stuff. Both of the books are second chance romance, and they're brothers. So that my plan is to do a series of several brothers in this town, and each one comes back to their childhood hometown for a second chance romance of a different variety, because I love the trope and I wanted to do different kinds of it. And I would say, based on your classification, I'm definitely a 3 pepper, maybe 3.5. There's, I don't know, kind of like, I think it's kind of the typical contemporary romance expectation of 2 to 3 scenes per book. So Oh, and I'm she, her. I didn't mention that at the top, but yes.
That's okay. If you want to go, if you forgot and you want to say now, that's cool.
I also
I'm
forgot.
she, her. I just totally forgot to say that. And I would say my books, I started off in YA, epic fantasy. So for me, I'm like, oh, I'm at a 5 with this pen name. But people are like, no, you're a 3. And I'm like, okay, so maybe a 3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah, to a lot, and I would also say to a lot of like monster romance or heavy people who really love the spice, they would call my books 2. So I've heard 2, but
Same
I think
with me.
in the cozy fantasy world, they would probably be like, "Whoa, that's a 4."
Right.
So,
And then Marie, you were about to say something.
Sorry, just that I missed my pronouns, which are she, her.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you all. I'm working on it. Working on it.
Catrina, I love your male mask.
thanks.
Yeah.
I bought it on
I
Etsy from a lady who makes like rave bikinis, but she also makes these masks to cover up the N95 masks. And it's like, well, I'm not going to fit into one of those bikinis, but I'll take a mask.
That's very cool. So I guess to start us off, before we have any questions in the chat, really, were there any aspects of romance that were difficult to translate into cozy fantasy, or was anything particularly easy, especially working in some of the spicy stuff? And you guys can go whatever order you come up with something, or we can go around again.
I was nervous about writing the spicy in the cozy at first because all the cozies I had read were not spicy. And I was like, well, I mean, obviously we are pro sexually being, free and happy. And so I think it made sense when I just kind of put it in that zone where this is a healthy, happy couple, and and let's just make this sweet, but let's make it also hot. And so I also branched out into some other like adjacent genres and started reading like cozy romance without the fantasy and seeing how they did it, how they did the spice and things like that, and some of the more contemporary, because I write straight up like always like medieval or gaslamp or something historical. That's just where I'm comfortable. So I started reading some more contemporary cozy romances with spice, and they helped me kind of like figure that out, like how that feels and how that goes. But now I feel good about it. I really enjoy it. And also I think it's just a nice twist on spicy romance, it was just kind of a fun change. It was a fun challenge.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alicia, on that one. Whenever I was reading, I read so much before I started writing, and a lot of the cozies are clean, for lack of a better word. That term is, very debatable, of course, right. But it's not super common to find. But I think a lot of us write worlds where we're trying to make everything ideal and perfect and everyone's accepted and we're all sexual human beings. And I think that it's perfectly good and fine because we're all adults here. And I love that. I loved combining those two worlds together, and I think it's great. And we've all made really cool stories out of it, I think.
So with my paranormal romances, I kind of back-levered them into the cozy genre once that became more popular. I was like, oh, I've actually been writing this. So I didn't come into it thinking, do I have to match up with audience expectations? What I had been writing originally was, does this fit with what I want to write, which is a lighthearted, like lighthearted and heartwarming. Saying it at the same time sounds a bit naff, but really affirming, like totally non-toxic relationship, filled with magical shenanigans and a bit of lighthearted angst. We're not going too deep into anything that does happen in the real world, but recognizable things that can prevent people from being together that don't have anything to do with dragons or mate bonds. So that's what I did for my Zoe Champ books. And it's, I think the small town settings, the focus on finding community and finding understanding have fit really well with the cozy genre. With my Monster Girlfriend books, they are more on the closed door side. Any spiciness there is, I would say, open to interpretation as to how you think my characters are reporting on various events. Honestly, those books I started without intending for them to fit anywhere, and again, they've just kind of happily found a home in cozy. So yeah, I think I have loved seeing the increase in spicy cozy fantasy, particularly the secondary world type ones. So I'd love to see more of that as well. Thank you all for providing.
For me, I'll say maybe it's because I was reading so much monster, so I feel like I'm coming more from the monster than anything. I didn't even think about what you guys were talking about, the spicy scenes. I just wrote them as they come, which for me didn't have a lot of angst, but requires a lot of, it's kind of a friends to lovers for both of them in a way. But actually what I did think a lot about, and I still do, I'm kind of stuck on my next book, is I always want in romance, there's the third act breakup. And I feel like in cozy, it kind of needs to be like not super angsty and not like neither of them maybe should be like a bad actor in the situation. And if there's a misunderstanding, it not be like heartbreaking, I guess. So actually,
or we can skip it.
Yeah, or skip it. So both of my third act breakups in my two books are kind of like unique. In the first book, it's friends to lovers. There's no misunderstanding in the relationship at all. It's literally like an avalanche. It's like they're dealing with the weather and they're trying to figure. So that's what breaks them apart in a sense. And then the second book, it's a misunderstanding, but it's like hilarious and kind of like how badly the hero misunderstands what happened, that a lot of my readers said they were just like laughing through the whole breakup scene because he was just being so ridiculous and very dramatic. But so that's something I do think about, is the third act breakup. And a lot of romances it's very angsty and kind of like tries to tear your heart out. But in cozy, I think we do have to think about how to navigate that.
I think it does work better. You said having the weather keep them apart, having an external threat to the relationship really works for that third act breakup in cozy. Or if it is, potentially angsty, leaning on the comedy, which you've also done, is great. I think comedy is such a big part of cozy in general as well. Like I feel like as writers and as readers, we love a bit of wordplay. We love ridiculous situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the cozy romances that I read, instead of a breakup, they have like a reaffirmation of their love. So like an external factor happens, but it just makes things better. Like they just get close.
Yeah.
So I do really enjoy not having to suffer through a long breakup toward the end. A little one, okay, maybe a little. But. So I do appreciate that about cozy fantasy. So in this genre specifically, we've all got monster romance. How does that affect the romance elements? How do you get around different body types, or is that a consideration? Do you always kind of want to align them to have similar parts? How do you deal with the monster part of monster romance?
I just think it makes it a little bit more exciting because it depends on who you are and what your boundaries are or what your likes and icks are. But I just think it makes it a little bit more fun, and it can play with the whole idea of fantasy. Like it can play with the whole idea of what does it mean to be a monster? What do we like about that? And how far can we take that and still be cozy? So I just think it's really fun because I like to do a different creature in each one of my books. And that makes it exciting for me writing it because I'm like, oh, how are they going to do it? So
it's not a problem. It's an opportunity.
Elements, there's different elements to their magic, and there's different like consequences to them, coming together with another person. And all of my leads are human because I kind of like the fish out of water scenario with that. So for me, it just makes each one exciting on its own because you don't know for sure how this is going to work. And, there's going to be some fun surprises,
It's the mystery subplot.
I agree with that. I think a lot of the fun of it is at the end of the day, it's your world and you can do with it what you wish. So you make the rules, you make them fit, you make it work, you make it spin out how you would like it to spin out. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is just making the characters accept each other for their differences and what they are, who they are, what parts they come with. And I think that's a lot of the fun of it as well. It's just making them accept each other wholeheartedly. That just makes everything feel so like warm and cozy, even if it is very high heat, low heat. It's just a fun opportunity to just play with your characters and make them be happy regardless. I just think it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has really come up in this convention so far is the idea of cozy as a homecoming, is creating a community and a place where we can be safe in all our weird wonderfulness. And I think in Cozy Monster Romance, that really comes to the fore, that we are bringing in creatures, characters who are believed to be monstrous in the evil and ill-meaning sense of the word, and who may or may not be physically monstrous as well. And we are showing them as both desiring and desirable without having to change anything about themselves.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And like in my small town, I have it being very, very much demon run. And me personally, growing up as like a Reformed church girly, like I love demons because it's just, they were very demonized in the mythology that I grew up thinking about. So to be able to create, like Hailey said, my kind of ideal society and small town run by demons would be, demons are, in my world, polytheistic, and they believe in one ultimate kind of Zeus-like character who's Mother Darkness. It's a woman. And so in a way, they intrinsically respect all women, especially elderly women, in the society that I created. So I just love that. And so my heroes come from that. That's the way that they think about the world. And so that's just incredibly cozy to me. I mean, I would love to live in that world. So that's how monsters play in for me, is I try to turn the mythos of demons, in Western society, I guess you could say, around a little bit.
So I noticed you all have multiple POVs. Was this part of like giving your demons a more human side, showing their thoughts that way, or is it just you like to do multiple points of view? Like, what was your thought on doing it that way?
I love doing multiple POVs because I think it just makes the story deeper, the experience deeper to me, because if you have something happen and you just know it from this one, I mean, that can be fun. It depends on what the situation is. But I really enjoy the depth of an experience from both of their sides. Just because you can play with that, because you can be like, she's thinking this, but really he's thinking this. And it just takes a simple scenario and just makes it that much more interesting, because they're both coming at it from different places, which is very relatable, right? Because you can be having a conversation with someone and think this is happening, but then you get in his head and you're like, oh, something totally different is happening. And like, how is this going to, play out? So I love multiple POV. And I actually really like trying to understand the character from their own position. I just think it makes me a better writer. So even in books where I don't write from multiple POV, I always do that off the page, like just for free writing, because I think writing from every character's POV fleshes them out and fleshes the scene out so much better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think being able to write from their POV just makes them it makes your characters deeper. They're more complex. You know what they think, you know what they feel. You don't have to infer all of that. Mm-hmm. And I do think that really helps to round them out. Maybe it humanizes them if they're it's very scary from the outside. It makes you realize that they're softer on the inside. It just really just helps you get that depth, I think. I think it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, multiple POV is great for raising tension, or if that feels a bit scary for cozy, raising anticipation, where you can see for real that each character has utterly different takes on the situation, and as a reader you're just sitting there like you can't wait for it to come to a fore. So in my book Mate for the Christmas Dragon, we have the dragon who is crazy about all things Christmas, and he sees the woman who is going to be his fated mate, the love of his life. He's going to swoop in and save her. Everything's going to be fantastic. We immediately cut to her point of view, where she hates Christmas and everything about it and just wants it to be over. So it's great for raising those stakes and adding comedy. I love the use of different POVs to add comedy.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add to what you guys said is, for me, dual point of views is essential for me, at least, or it's easiest for me to portray like both of the characters' arc. So it would be a lot harder for me to do the hero's like growth arc if it was only being told through the heroine's perspective or whatever. But so it's just a lot easier for me because I can plot that out, like each chapter, kind of how he's growing or she's growing, things like that. So that's the other benefit, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hadn't thought of any of that. I'm writing from one point of view right now. So that's all really interesting reasons to do it to me. We've got a question in the chat. What is the coziest part of your book?
I would say I try to, so I call myself a setting whore because I think that's why another reason why cozy speaks to me, because it's all about like the vibes, you know? So I try to, in every single one of my books, give you that moment or moments where you're in that setting where it's not necessarily about the tension and all that stuff. That's what's nice about cozy is you literally can just be in like this perfect little setting. And you have just this moment where it's like when you go on, you know, when you're on the YouTubes and you're like searching for like cute setting stuff with the music. You know what I'm talking about, like ambient, whatever it is. I can't ever remember. Ambient Worlds. I watched that one. Anyway, it's kind of like that moment. I try to always include some of that where you're like the one I'm writing right now. I have a new one coming out in my standalone series. It's When the Merchant Met the Orc, because Orktober. But anyway, it's very like Halloween vibes. It's the fantasy version, but I wanted that like ultimate Halloween party where it's like, oh, this is so cute and this is so cozy, but also kind of mysterious and sexy and fun. And so I've got like, you know, like their version of jack-o'-lanterns, which are like dusk hollows. And I have like all these ridiculous like desserts that are so pretty and so delicious. Like I just want to amp up that moment in the book where you just like, oh, I just want to live here. Like that's one of my favorite parts of cozy fantasy. So I always try to have that in the book. And to me, that's the coziest part, because nothing is actually going on other than you just being there, having a good time.
I agree with that one. I love crafting a vibe. Like the vibe is the main thing I'm trying to portray a lot of the time. I want you to be able to see what the characters are looking at. I want you to smell it. I want you to feel it. I want you to be there. So I love trying to pull all of the senses into it. That's one of my favorite tactics of just pull you in, feel the scene out with them. And one of my favorite scenes to write is like tavern scenes. I love that. Set all the characters down at a table, give them some drinks, give them something delicious to eat, and make them just have a moment of just reality. Let them talk and let them just be people together. That's my favorite thing to write. So I throw a cozy scene with the tavern into every book I've written so far. There's nobody stopping me. I'm going to keep doing it. But those are my favorite cozy parts to write.
Yeah, I think that my favorite cozy parts to write are the quiet moments of connection between the two characters, the love interests. I think my favorite one from my Monster Girlfriend books is they're sitting down, there's been a bit of action, not of the romantic type, more of the trying to not get, you know, cursed and spelled away type. And my human character, Shan, makes a cup of tea for them both, because that's what you do if things have been rough, you have a cuppa. But Trillin is a shape-shifting creature who has only just figured out how to make herself a form at all, let alone a form who knows how to drink a cup of tea, or even really what that is. So they have, in the midst of everything else, just this moment together of trying to figure out how to interact with each other and the world via a cup of tea, which I really enjoy.
Adorable.
That's cute.
Yeah, in my Beastly and Bookish, I had mentioned the avalanche, and so probably the coziest part of the book is after the avalanche, they are snowed in at a cabin, and it essentially, the heroine is a librarian, but she's very overworked and busy all the time because she's just trying to keep her library open. It's underfunded and all this kind of stuff. So for 4 days, they're trapped there, and the hero like makes her tea, always makes her breakfast in bed, and he forces her to take a vacation because she realizes she's never taken time off work because the library is her life. So it's just a very cozy snippet of 4 days leading up to or after Christmas. It's around the Christmas time because it's sort of a holiday romance, but that's just always so many good vibes there because there's the food, there's the closeness, cozy. They can't go anywhere or focus on the external stuff at all. And then in my second book, A Friend of Me in Need, it's probably when she shows up to the barn that she has sequestered the hero. He is sleeping in her barn. He's volunteering for her and she won't let him stay in her house. So he's sleeping in the barn, but she goes up to him in the morning and she finds him sleeping with a little baby goat cuddled up next to him, and they're both drooling on each other. And it's just really cute. So that's one of the reader's favorite scenes as well. Cute little animals.
So some of you mentioned the food. What are ways that you've used food and drink to build romance between your characters? Because we're all about food and cozy.
I have to think about that. I know that in my last one was when the baker met the dragon. My titles are just right there. This is what this
tell you what you're getting. I love it.
That's right. You know, she was the baker and she is just like a master at this. And so they came together because she had a really huge order that could really, you know, help her business, and he's going to come help her. So through food, they actually bonded back in the kitchen because he's kind of like the town playboy and really good at everything except for this. So he had to take a new role as to taking like the follower and following directions. And she's super shy and really introverted. And she had to take the role of teaching him and leading and, you know, being in charge. And it was actually really adorable how they were coming together and baking. And meanwhile, I'm watching the Great British Baking Show. Like I watch it constantly. Like it's really pathetic, but, I love taking a really difficult recipe and putting that like in my book for the characters to like bond over trying to accomplish.
I've realized, like, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I use food as like a plot delivery device a lot of the time in my books. In my second book, Cauldrons and Cattails, she accidentally serves the entire town love potion spiked chili. So everyone has a love potion in them and she needs to go find the cure. So that's driving the two main characters together to find that cure together. And then they end up using food along the way to kind of break the ice. Like at one point, she's eating a honey bun and she has a little bit on her face, and it breaks the touch barrier. He's going to get the icing off of her face. So I think it really is just like a nice device to just carry your characters along, because it's so just natural of them a lot of the time. It gives them a nice excuse to interact in a way that's just real. Or if they're going to share a drink together, share a cup of tea together, it's just a good way to, I think, just let them have a quiet moment together.
Yeah, I agree. I think just the nature of sharing food, of giving and receiving food is quite intimate and can be very emotional. It's a great avenue for showing a character who has paid a lot of attention to the other person as to their likes, their dislikes, that they are in need or crisis of some comfort. And Catrina, specifically, you talked about your librarian character being taken care of by the guy when they are snowed in together in their lonely cabin, which fantastic trope for a reason. And there is just that, like, someone else has uplifted the weight of planning and doing everything at this very cool thing of feeding you and taking care of you. Yeah.
And I was just realizing with that question, like both of my books, they're brothers and they help run the family business. It's a coffee shop chain called Purgatory. And so in both books, I realized I have scenes that aid the romance where they're making coffee. And I didn't even do that on purpose. I'm just realizing that now. But in the epilogue to Beastly and Bookish, the ex-boyfriend of the heroine comes in and he like gets a 2-for-1 deal on coffee, and he gives his second coffee to Noelle, the heroine, the ex-boyfriend does. And this causes Rom, my hero, to be like very jealous. He gets very jealous about this ex, because the ex is a nice guy, but he's just like always around. So he makes her perfect cup of coffee, and he gives it to her, and she's very happy, like, oh, thank you. I wanted it to be, you know, a hot latte instead of iced. And it adds this cute little romance scene where he's like, yes, I know exactly what you want. I give you everything you want. It's just really cute. And then in A Friend of Me in Need, it was actually the heroine who makes coffee for the hero. It's the first night they spend together romantically. And the morning after, she makes a cup of Turkish coffee because she's Turkish. So she explains what she's doing and what it means to her, and makes it for him. And so it was also just a cute little romance moment of them making coffee. So yeah, coffee is a big deal, I guess, in my books. I didn't put it together.
In my one I'm working on, I have them eating every time there's a date-like situation. It's just what you do on a date. You go eat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We've got another question in the chat. What draws you to writing monsters as a romance protagonist? And they say, I know as an ace, for me, it relates to being othered and then accepted for yourself despite your strangeness. Does that resonate with y'all?
That definitely resonates with me. I mean, I think a lot of us, if you're writing fantasy, you didn't fit in school. I mean, let's be real. We're all together in this. It's okay. Yeah. So like, I think there's an element of that interests me with the monsters, especially because I'm writing from their POV as well, is that they know that they're different. And even my humans, because they're, you know, in mine, they're actually the humans going to the Veiled Kingdom. So they're the ones that are other as well sometimes. It just, you know, depends on what's going on. But like, that's definitely a theme that I like to play with. And it's really a nice vehicle for it, writing monsters, because sometimes they're scared of themselves. Like in the first one, The Weaver and the Gargoyle, he's an Elysium gargoyle, which is like super powerful and really dangerous. And he's almost afraid of himself. And, you know, like something bad happened in his past that he didn't mean for it to happen. And it's not even that bad because it's cozy, but it's like he's so worried about what he might do. And he just feels like he doesn't fit in anywhere. He feels awkward and big. And like, you know, I'm 5'3", so I didn't feel that part. But like, I totally get the awkward part. Like, here's me trying to talk to you right now, you know? But anyway, like, I think that's why the monster thing draws me for sure. That whole like being othered, being awkward, and just trying to find, like we've been talking about through this whole thing, finding community and being welcomed in no matter what you are, what you're dealing with, who you are. And I think Monsters just really is a cool, fun, and creative way to go about that storytelling.
Yeah, I think my favorite part in my world was just pretty much normalizing the otherness. Like everyone is different species. There are humans, but not a lot of them. Pretty much everyone is something else, whether they're a vampire, a witch, an orc, a faun. They're all different, but they all just sort of accept that for what it is. There's not a lot of villainizing that. Sometimes they're different species and they don't always anatomically fit exactly the same way. They don't relate to each other customs wise. They have different customs and, you know, habits and beliefs, but at the end of the day, they all just fall in love with who they fall in love with. And that just simply is what it is. And that was really fun and kind of healing to write, because it doesn't matter what they are. And I think that was one of my favorite parts about making them monsters in a way, because they are who they are. They get loved because of who they are, not in spite of it. And I just think that was really a kind of a beautiful thing to do. It's fun. It's light, but I loved it.
Yeah, I'll just echo what everyone else has said. My books, particularly the Monster Girlfriend ones, lean really heavily on the idea that we can create ourselves and decide who we want to be, regardless of what the world around us thinks we should or should not be, do, or want. So yeah, Monster Romance is a great vehicle for that.
Yeah, it's a very welcoming readership community and authorship community, because everything that you guys have said is exactly what I read in all of the books. And for me, it's probably like both of my heroes are insecure about a certain thing that the heroine in a way helps them understand about themselves or love themselves better. In Beastly and Bookish, the Beastly is because he's insecure about his appearance. He has a lot of scars and stuff. And then in a frenemy in need, the hero's insecure about, I guess he thinks he's dumb, but really he's very like neurodivergent, and he's actually very smart in the things that he knows how to do, but it's not something his family ever particularly valued. So it's and then the heroines have their own things as well. But yeah, I think building that into the character is really common in monster romance. The things that they feel othered or not loved for, and then they find that acceptance.
So how does having all these non-human creatures affect your storytelling outside of just the romance? Like, what real world situations help you when you're designing these new cultures and creatures?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is I wrote one with a dragon shifter. Ready for it? When the baker met the dragon. Anyway, his struggle was that he was one of a kind, he thought, and he didn't like that. And he felt very alone in a lot of ways. He didn't understand his own kind. He didn't actually know how certain things would work because he hadn't gotten to that point in his life, like finding your fated mate, because that is a big thing in my stories too. And then he does. Spoiler, but it's not that much of a spoiler. But he finds, a kingdom of people like him. So then he's left with this struggle between, do I join them or do I stay with this group of this community I've built that I love? And how does that work? How do I introduce this into that or that into this? And it to me almost feels like when you first get married. This is very personal, but like when I moved to a new city with my fiance, and then I really still very tight with my family back home. And it's like, how do you balance life that way? Because you value both, but they're very different. So to me, that was a very relatable kind of challenge that he went through, even though it was dragons.
Yeah, I try to, in my world, like pretty much make everything fit together naturally that had happened in the past. So whenever we get to the story, everyone is already coexisting pretty happily. And I think a lot of just the characteristics of those characters come from, stereotypical lore for these types of characters. Like a lot of vampires have given traits that we all just kind of accept for how they are. Same with orcs, same with witches. A lot of that it's fun to play with, and it's fun to twist to fit your needs and how your story is going to work. So it is kind of, you just have to be tactful with how you're going to gather all that information and put it together. But at the end of the day, I think that your story just comes together how it needs to, and all of those bits just kind of find their way to fit.
So in my Monster Girlfriend books, sort of the magical human world, which is the only part of our world who knows about magic, and the dimension of eldritch horrors just want to destroy each other. It's not particularly cozy. There does come to a resolution of sorts by the end of the trilogy. Spoilers, or no spoilers. But I think mostly actually in the story I'm working on at the moment, and which I hope to release early next year, Bread Knives and Boomsticks, the heroine of this story, Runa, is part troll, part nymph, but physically she takes only after one side of her heritage, which is not the side she was raised with. And then when she finally does manage to visit the people, her other parents' side of the family, she culturally does not understand what is going on, even though physically she does resemble them more. So that is part of her background and how she feels estranged from the world. And I think that is something that as humans as well, we can understand. Yeah. But you'll all have to wait to read that until I finish actually writing it.
It's so exciting, and the cover is beautiful. I've seen it.
Thank you.
Can't wait. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I guess I would add to what everyone's saying about how to sort of create monsters in this world is like, is I think what's unique about monster romance that I'm seeing, and it has so many readers who love it a lot is the othering and the people who feel left out, because monsters in a fantasy context are often misunderstood. They're the ones who you're scared of and all this kind of stuff. And so I think it is important as authors, and I will say, like, in the author community, I've been just like so impressed with how many authors utilize sensitivity readers and beta readers and things like that, because we as humans in a regular world, unfortunately I haven't experienced much magic, like we do have to create this, and we don't want to pull from actual marginalized people and things like that. So to create it, try to be as thoughtful and tactful, as Hailey said, as you can. And I think utilizing sensitivity readers and beta readers a lot, perhaps more in monster romance than other cozy fantasy areas. So I thought I'd just throw that in as a little aside.
That's a really good point, because I have noticed in not so cozy books how some of the tropes tend to be a little insulting once you start dealing with your biases. So yeah, I like that. That's a really good point. We've got a little note from Lazy Dragon to plug whatever we're writing or getting ready to launch. So if anybody wants to talk about their upcoming projects.
Like I said, I have a release October 28th, very soon, When the Merchant Met the Orc. And she's a single mom. And in my other life, I teach martial arts twice a week to small children. And so I adore kids. And it was really fun to write a little pixie boy in this story and have her be his, that's her top priority. To the detriment of herself. And isn't that just motherhood? So that book is coming out toward Halloween, and it's got very Halloweeny vibes because that's my favorite holiday. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. It should be fun.
I'm working on right now the last book in my first interconnected standalone series. It's called Bruise and Bandages. It's the fourth and final, for now, installment in the series. I wanted to play with the mayor of the town because I thought it would be fun to see the point of view of someone who feels a lot of pressure on his shoulders and feels like he has a lot of responsibility for what's happening to those around him. So I wanted to give him a happy ending, because some of my readers were saying, I'm so worried about him all the time. He's so stressed, like, heal him. So I wanted to let him be happy for a change. So I'm playing with that one. And I have another, there's always, all the projects that are floating on the horizons, but I have another series coming next, I think is going to be a practical magic inspired witchy duet. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds so exciting. So I've already mentioned Bread Knives and Boomsticks, which is my project I'm working on at the moment. I will drop a link for Jolly or Misty to share into the chat. But it is a cozy fantasy set in a secondary world. It's my first time writing a secondary world, by which we mean absolutely not Earth, I think. I was going to say Middle Earth, but Middle Earth is meant to be a mythic past for our Earth, so I think somewhere completely different. Think Tortle from Tamara Pierce's books, or Emmeline. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, and it should be out next year.
I've had a really rough year. I'm in some writer's block, like personally and everything. So normally I get a holiday romance out. So I should have the third brother in the series out this year, but it's not going to happen. So probably have to wait for next winter for that. I do have a short story that was in an anthology called The Princess Called Death. That I do plan to. I'll release that probably early next year. It's a short story about Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld, and it's her as a teenager. So it kind of describes she was very monstrous and why she was basically kicked out of where all the gods live to live in the underworld. So that'll be a fun little short book that I'll publish eventually. But yeah, maybe just follow me. Maybe next year I'll get a book out.
Fingers crossed that sometime soonish that I start on the publishing side, but I'm on edit round 2 of mine, and it's about an orc who wanted a job at the Dragon Library, but instead ends up as their barbarian and travels and updates maps and meets a witch and is chasing whoever is replacing the books with mimics.
Oh,
And
I love that, and I love the
Magic
cartographer. Or
and Mimics.
yeah,
And for the record, I started it before I read Legends and Lattes. And then I was like, that's what I'm doing. It's cozy. So I've been really excited to get to know everybody through this HearthCon and just through reading everybody's stuff, because I could geek out about you guys for a while. I really enjoyed it. We got another little note to say, if we have any other monster romance that we'd rec, like if anybody's read anything recently that we'd want to talk about, lay somebody else up. Let's see. Most of my reading has been for this, so I don't
know her. I've met her at one event, and I bought this book, and it was darling. And it is contemporary. So I write everything. My stuff is very medieval because I'm like a Ren Fair person. So, and this is not. This is modern, but I absolutely loved it. It was darling. So there you go.
I just met Meg last week. She is so sweet. I'm backing that one.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would probably rec. It's not cozy. It's quite dark, actually. But Opal Rain, A Soul to Keep. That whole series, I've read all of them except for the last two because I don't read much when I write. Incredible. She is incredibly talented. And her monsters are so, like, horribly scary on the outside, but so gooey gumdrop on the inside. And it's incredible. Everyone has to read them, I think.
Likewise, I don't really read directly in the type of books that I'm writing at the moment, but I have really been enjoying Allegra Hall's Unraveling Monsters series, starting with A Wolf in the Garden, which are a contemporary monster romance set in our world, quote unquote, but a spell which separated us from the Fey realms long ago has unraveled and brought the worlds back together. It is so much fun. I really love the ongoing mystery of the world building along with each individual romance. And Allegra is another Aotearoa author, so it's lovely to read her stuff and read stuff written in a world where I could be like, yeah, I do know that.
I'll plug the story I'm beta reading currently right now that I think is publishing later this month. It's a novella, 20,000 words, called Buffalo Bell's Wild West Show, and it's about a minotaur. It's cozy but very, very spicy. So 20,000 words, super spicy. I think it'll be fun to read. It's Selena Shaw is the author, and it's her debut story. But I've known her for many years, and I'm just excited. So I want to plug her Minotaur. I think the heroine is Fae as well. So Buffalo Bell's Wild West Show. Check it out.
I just remembered I did accidentally read Tusk Tales and Tea Cakes for this. I must have looked at the wrong panel. It was really good. It just wasn't spicy, and I just thought it was on our panel. I read an extra one accidentally. But it was really good. So I did enjoy that as well. We got just a couple minutes left, I believe. And if anybody wants to say where they can be found online.
Okay. I have a newsletter. So I have a website and all that good stuff. If you want to look for me under Lila Appleton or under Alicia Klepeek, either one, I've got shared stuff on both. I have an Instagram for both, at Alicia Klepeek, and I think it's at Lila Appleton Author. I always forget if author's at the beginning or the end. Anyway, so you can find me on Instagram. I do have TikToks as well. I am not on Threads anymore because I can't take the drama, hence me being in cozy. But if you want to sign up for a newsletter, I do have free stuff for both pen names on both of those newsletters. And I'd be happy to see you on Instagram. I'm just randomly throwing spaghetti at the wall, having fun on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing, but there I am.
I'm author Hailey Blackwood on the social medias. Instagram, TikTok are my two main. I am on Facebook sometimes, not very often. It's so hard to keep up with all of it, but I am author HeileyBlackwood.com is my website. I do sell direct signed books on my website and on my TikTok shop. So if that's anything everyone's ever interested in, love the TikTok shop. But yeah, that's me. I'm on Amazon too, KDP, 99-cent sale for my whole series this week. So that's exciting. I'm selling that for the next, whenever until the 16th is. That's when that'll turn off. So grab them while you can if you'd like.
Yeah, you can find me at mariecardno.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter to hear about any books I'm working on, new releases, deals. For social media, I'm mainly on Instagram, again, at Marie Cardno, written the way it is on my little bio there. And yeah, I love to chat with readers, so do feel free to just hop into my DMs. But if you do, don't just be like, hey, because we get a lot of spam that starts that way. So start with, I don't know, something to tell me that you are, if not human, and not to be anti-robot, but that there's a brain on the other end there.
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm also on Instagram mostly. I have a presence on TikTok, Facebook, I think even Blue Sky. I try to just cross-post randomly. I also sell signed books on Etsy. I think I have a shop on TikTok. I haven't been pretty bad about that. And then I do have a limited time. These are my special editions that I sell like at events and stuff. I did a Kickstarter for. But I have a limited time thing where people can get those for the holidays. I think the forum closes on Baventi in early November. But I won't be selling those on Etsy, just at events. So that's another cool thing. But I also love DMs. I'm on Discord. I'm in certain different Discords and Monster Romance and stuff. So you can kind of find me anywhere. But yeah, eventually I'll get back on the social media game. I'm kind of the spaghetti at the wall approach at the moment too, because of my writer's block. So I'm just sort of quietly hunkering down.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm mainly on Twitter and Blue Sky, but it's still really sporadic. And it's Books by Autumn on everything that I am on. So if anybody wants to find me and friend me and get me some more cozy author buddies or cozy readers, that's awesome. I think that's all we have time for today. So thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. Your books are a lot of fun. So everyone who likes spicy romance or slightly spicy romance should go and read them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Autumn.
Thank you, Autumn, and thank you, everyone. It's been so fun to chat.